Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and yesterday afternoon I did my first live stream on a computer and or on my computer, and it was a really good experience, and I kind of enjoyed it. One of the things, you know, of course you improve on these things over time. It's kind of strange to have done as many videos as I've done for the last 2 years, but to have never done a live stream on my computer. And so I had to figure out how to do it. And then I'm going to have to learn the right way to do the live stream during the live stream. One of the things I got to figure out is how to set up the mods. And one thing I learned in doing the live stream is that if you sit there and you stare at the chat, you will continue to lose your train of thought. And so next time I do a live stream, I'm either just going to focus on the chat, or I'm going to make a list of topics that I'm going to hit, and then I'm going to drop the chat down while I cover those topics and then pull the chat back up. But I wanted to try my best to see the people in the chat, because I had never done that and really focused on what people were saying. But I think that that's one of the more important things to people when people are doing a live stream, is that you're reading their comments and kind of playing off of that. But you do have a tendency to go all over the place if you don't keep it controlled in some way or another. But anyway, so here we go. I wanted to show you this. This is Mr. B. Mr. B apparently is getting ready to ramp up his own YouTube channel, and so I wanted to be supportive of that. What type of content would you most prefer from my YouTube channel in the future? I have excluded news because I think others have that covered. Please subscribe. And he's got this. It looks like everybody wants him to do, you know, kind of a combination of everything here. Now, to subscribe to him, his channel is Mr.B XRP. He's got 2.14 thousand subscribers. I'm a subscriber. Let me see if I've rung that bell yet. Yeah, okay, now I can get notifications. But yeah, Mr. B is doing his own channel now, so please go and give him a subscribe, and I'm going to make sure to help him. This guy's a very smart guy, and he's a good person, and he's got a lot of experience and life experience, and he'll really bring a lot to the XRP community in this way. So I'll support that for sure. Costa Rica Kelly at Slade Crypto. Now, this is interesting right here. I believe that this is kind of what we've been waiting for. Now, when I first saw this, I think maybe Brad Combs and Cryptopolis had gone over this in their stream. I didn't see it, but I was made aware of this by Mr. B and Costa Rica Kelly, so I wanted to talk about it for a minute. When I was younger, my father taught me how to look for stocks based on the Warren Buffett methodology, where you would look for value stocks, and he would look at things like the price to book, the PE ratio, which is the price to earnings ratio, and really up until now we have not really had any kind of real metrics in the digital asset space. But the fact that they're starting to create metrics like this should excite a lot of you out there. Now, when you see these fair values and the things that they're coming up with here, don't get discouraged when you say that, oh, they only show XRP's fair value as 0.72, because believe you me, speculators that come in that see, oh, that's the 0.72 is or 72 cents is what that based on the utility that's going on right now, they're seeing that. Well, that means that if Ripple continues to ramp up the utility, well, it could be $5, $6, $10. Well, that's the thing that will happen with speculators in this. But I just wanted to go over, this is the first site I've seen, and it's called coinfairvalue.com. where they have put together an economic model and they've created their site around that. And if you look down here, it'll show you, and this is the type of thing we've been talking about. Bitcoin, for example, that the price is at 7,183. The fair value they've got at 6,234 based on utility, whereas XRP is almost 3 times the price because of the real utility. And remember, Brad Garlinghouse has said over and over and over, in the end, without use case, all of these things go to nothing. Now, I think that Brad Garlinghouse thinks, and I think as well, no question about it, that Bitcoin could very well be the only exception to that rule. And make no mistake, that's why they've done the drop gold campaign and all of that. I think that originally a lot of even major investors were fooled into thinking that because Bitcoin's this digital asset, that it's going, just because this is the new thing, it's going to last forever and be a great vehicle for moving money. If you remember when Bitcoin initially came out, that's what was talked about as payments. Even I believe in the Bitcoin white paper, it was talked about as payments. Well, not going to happen. It's too slow, and there's too many things that drag it down. But some of these new digital assets will be good for payments, like XRP and things like that. Well, since that's the case, that's actual utility. I believe Bitcoin will be the only survivor ultimately that has not any real utility, and that's only because it's a first mover. But if you look at this, look at the fair value here. This is they've come up with an economic model. It says intrinsic or theoretical value of the coin according to its current usage. Fair value is the result of a new yet simple rational economic model for currencies, similar to what discounted cash flows is for stocks. And then under the PE ratio section here, the price to earnings ratio equivalent is just the P/FD ratio multiplied by 15. 15 is the average value of the price to earnings ratio in the S&P 500 and with data since 1900. It is therefore considered a neutral value in fundamental investing. By multiplying P-FD by 15, one obtains a value that can be directly compared with stocks. Now, folks, to this point in this market, there have been a lot of people who have sat on the sidelines because they didn't have an understanding of where digital assets derive their value. Write this down or tattoo it on your arm. when these people who have been sitting on, when the investors in Wall Street and some of these people that have been sitting on the sidelines because there was no valuation model, and we've talked about this for over 2 years, there was no real valuation model. When these valuation models begin to seep their way onto websites like this, and then into eventually onto the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and believe you me, not only are these models being worked on and getting ready to be launched, but as I've said before, you will see the S&P 500, you will see Moody's, you will see Fitch, Morningstar, all of the ratings agencies will be utilizing this type of methodology to come up with values. That way they cover their butts. They can say, see, here's our models. This is how we're deriving these values. And then you have a completely new industry that is hatched. And that's what's been the foundations. Think about it for a minute. The foundations, I talked about it on the live stream yesterday. The foundations for this industry in terms of the pipes being laid and the on-off ramps. We talk about that all the time. And with Ripple, the payment rails, all of that's been being laid worldwide. Meanwhile, Wall Street and all their friends and the ratings agencies and all this, you go ahead and write it down. They've been laying their foundation as well. And that's what this is. This didn't come out of nowhere. This is the thought pattern that is going to take this all to the next level. Okay. I wanted to cover this. I think this is important. One thing that has always blown me away by Twitter and social media is it's very naive for the people that think that this is okay. But I watch people all the time get on Twitter and these different places in social media, and they will libel people and libel companies and slander companies, libel being written, slander being spoken word, and say things that aren't true and put it on paper or say it in a recorded video. They do this kind of thing all the time, and I'm dumbfounded. Before social media came along, people were terrified of being sued for things like this. Well, I was raised by a home builder, and so when I was being raised, everybody in business was always very careful what they said. Nobody wanted to be sued or anything like that. Well, on social media, so many, and maybe it's a lot of young people, and I think it's even in some of these new media companies, it's a lot of young people who aren't thinking about what the liability of the things that they do and they say. And that's what CZ Binance is talking about here. There's a lot of people who write things and say things that are completely untrue, and then they worry about it later. He says instead, he's talking about that article that literally it was written about Binance and also tanked the Bitcoin market. I think it started the Bitcoin market tanking on Monday or whatever it was, 2 or 3 days ago. But these guys wrote an article about, and it was also written, there was also one written about Ripple this week by Masari. And then the Block wrote about CZ Binance and says, hey, CZ Binance, their Shanghai office has been raided. And then he said, I don't have a Shanghai office. Well, he says, instead of apologizing to the community for the fake headline news of the non-existent police raid, which damaged our reputation and Bitcoin price, the Block now tries to argue that there was an office. If CZ had a meeting, who cares? Own up and apologize for your mistake. And then this is from Mr. B. I agree with CZ on this. Fudsters will think twice before they besmirch companies or individuals if they think it could cost them. This may be the first move in making Twitter a more civil place instead of the Wild West for keyboard warriors. And this is where CZ Binance is saying we will be suing them. Well, and then Michael Arrington weighed in. He said, wow, CZ says he's had enough and he's suing the Block. Well, if you're going to put out something that you know not to be true, and then you're not even going to retract it when the evidence comes out, they deserve what they get. XRP Golem sent this. Come on now. And this is one of the guys over there. So why he believes that how much money that CZ Binance or Justin Sun is irrelevant to any of this. That the fact that he's commenting on this tells me he's got some resentment towards these guys, and he's seeing things through glasses where he resents these guys in the first place, and therefore is trying to create articles that could hurt them or something. That's what the first thing that pops into my mind when I read this. 2 of the wealthiest men in cryptocurrency plan to raise FUD fighting fund worth more than $1 million, presumably to wield it as an implicit threat against journalists who report facts that run contrary to their own business interests. Well, when he calls himself a journalist, my question would be, did you talk to CZ Binance before? Because a journalist would confirm it from the source. Did you talk to CZ Binance before you went and wrote this article? And did you give him any time whatsoever? But these guys are literally contributing to a FUD fighting fund now. All right. From I Am Legion. Ask yourself 2 questions after listening to this. Why doesn't he mention XRP as a settlement option? Regulators responds to what? Like with Libra. Gonna keep beating that drum. This is the guy that runs, what is his name? David Rudder or David something. He's the CEO of R3, I believe. But he's talking about the core to settler. And remember, XRP is the first digital asset, might be the only right now digital asset that works with core to settler. And he's talking about how core to settler could work with a digital asset like Libra, but he doesn't speak the word XRP. Interesting. Okay. The crypto utility guy at utility guy 7. Hey, Peter Schiff, you can learn from this. Swiss Gold accepting XRP in exchange for gold and silver. They're calling it Ripple here, so the standard mistake. Is now Swiss Gold's now accepting payment for gold and silver purchases in the cryptocurrency Ripple. What you meant was XRP there. Okay, Michael at VAL5 links compliments of XRP Arcade. Ripple-backed web monetization platform Coil has partnered with Outvoice, a freelance payment solution. And he got this from XRParcade.com, which is Leonidas's website. One of the best websites in the XRP community, XRParcade.com. And this is Coil's announcement. We're excited to partner with Outvoice to promote more efficient payment solutions and processes, giving creators more time and money to create Twitter. So good stuff. All right. Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 sent me this. Remember, this is good. This is good right here, folks. Listen up. Remember the CFO of DTCC at the end of 2018, DTCC working together with R3 and IBM, among others, on the trade information warehouse application for credit derivative transactions, provided no delays, expected launch equals 2019 XRP. Now, what I want, is there anybody out there that can create for me a sound effect that it can be on my desktop when I'm doing one of these videos, and I can push a button and you'll hear a whisper in the background that's going, Polysign Inc. Because when you see this, the first thing that pops into my mind is Polysign. So if there is a way that I can create a sound effect where I can just push a button and Polysign can be said in a whisper in the background, I would love to. All right, moving along. XRP Crypto Wolf, the European Union launched a 400 million euro blockchain and AI fund to avoid falling behind US and China. The EU fund could raise up $2.2 billion. The US is the biggest spender on blockchain with $1.1 billion spent, and China is the second with $319 million. Then we got this from XRP. Bart sent me this back from yesterday. It's only 2:05 p.m. Eastern time, and we've already traded 2,367 contracts today, beating our previous record of 1,756. Now, I wanted to mention something that I was told yesterday by someone who lives here in my town. I was told that Bakkt is located in Atlanta, Georgia, and that shocked me. I've been covering Bakkt for over 2 years. I was told that it is located in Atlanta, Georgia. I always assumed that it was located in New York. Why Atlanta, Georgia? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would have thought that Bakkt was something on Wall Street, but I'm going to look further into that. But I was told that yesterday. Had no idea. Okay, and the dude at YSE_2013 asked me if he could be the official clone terminator of the Digital Asset Investor channel, and so he is. This guy said that, many of you on Twitter may see a lot of these scammers and criminals try to clone my username. They'll steal my graphic on Twitter, my little thumbnail, and they'll use it for a thumbnail. And then they'll go into the comment section of my posts and try to run scams that make you think that there's some kind of giveaway or something. Well, he's gone in and he's reported them and that kind of thing, and he's blocked them or whatever. And so he wanted to be the official clone terminator of the Digital Asset Investor channel, and so he is. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that we do have an official clone terminator for the channel. Thank you for listening.